If I told you that every success, every failure, every turning point in your life began with a single invisible thought, would you dare to control them? Your thoughts are not harmless passengers in your mind. They are the architects of your destiny. In this video, you'll discover how to harness this hidden power to shape your life with intention, clarity, and unstoppable momentum. If you truly understood the magnitude of your own mind, you would never again take a single thought for granted. Your mind is not merely a storehouse for memories or a processing machine for daily events. It is the architect of your reality. Every belief you hold, every assumption you accept, every mental image you consistently dwell upon becomes the framework upon which your external world is built. What you repeatedly think about is not a harmless pastime of the imagination. It is a blueprint, and life has an uncanny way of building in accordance with it. Consider this. The mind does not differentiate between a thought vividly imagined and a reality physically experienced. Science confirms that mental rehearsals activate the same neural pathways as actual events. But long before neuroscience caught up, thinkers like Napoleon Hill recognized that sustained thought backed by belief and emotion inevitably crystallizes into tangible form. Your environment, your habits, your relationships, your financial state, these are not isolated accidents. They are in large part the echo of your inner patterns of thought. Most people, without realizing it, hand over the power of this mental architecture to chance. They let external events dictate their thinking, reacting to circumstances rather than directing them. They focus on limitations and then live inside those limitations. They rehearse failure in their minds and wonder why life obliges them with obstacles. The law is impartial. It does not care whether you plant weeds or roses, it will grow whatever you continually sow. The first act of reclaiming your life is therefore not to change the outer conditions, but to assume authority over the inner ones. This means choosing your dominant thoughts as deliberately as you would choose the food you eat or the company you keep. You cannot indulge in resentment and expect peace. You cannot repeatedly think I am not enough and expect the world to treat you as though you are. Life mirrors your mental state with ruthless precision. When you understand this principle deeply, you begin to see that success is less about doing and more about being. Action matters, yes, but sustained effective action only comes from a mind already convinced of its capacity to succeed. Without that conviction, action becomes hesitant, scattered, and easily defeated. With it, even modest efforts begin to compound into extraordinary results. This is why the most successful people guard their mental environment as carefully as they guard their time. They know that every thought is a seed, and that idle negativity is just as costly as a wasted opportunity. They use mental imagery, affirmations, and focused attention not as empty rituals, but as deliberate tools for shaping reality. They understand that you cannot consistently think like a pauper and live like a king. The most empowering truth you can embrace is this: you are not at the mercy of your thoughts, you are their master. But mastery requires vigilance. It means noticing when your mind drifts into fear or self-doubt, and redirecting it toward constructive visions. It means disciplining yourself to dwell more on what you want and on what you dread. It means feeding your imagination with the ideas, images, and beliefs that align with the life you intend to create. The world will always present you with evidence to support either your fears or your dreams. Which evidence becomes dominant depends entirely on what you choose to focus on. The quality of your life will rise or fall in proportion to the quality of your thinking. The question then is not whether your mind is shaping your reality, the question is, are you shaping it consciously or leaving it to be shaped by default? Direct your thoughts and you direct your destiny. Leave them unattended and you surrender your life to chance. The choice is always yours and the time to choose is always now. If you observe the course of your life, you will notice a pattern: the ideas, images, and beliefs you allow to occupy your mind most persistently have a curious way of manifesting themselves in your circumstances. This is not mystical coincidence. It is the law of dominant thought. Whatever dominates your thinking shapes your decisions, directs your energy, and filters the reality you perceive. You cannot think habitually of failure and then expect to walk naturally toward success. Your mind is the lens through which you view life. And if that lens is clouded with fear, doubt, or limitation, then the world you see will be distorted to match those beliefs. This law works with mechanical precision, whether you understand it or not. The human mind is always arranging and rearranging your environment in alignment with your most frequent and emotionally charged thoughts. It does so by influencing your perceptions, by making certain opportunities visible to you, while both hiding others entirely. Imagine two people standing in the same room, each looking at the same environment. One sees nothing but obstacles, the other sees possibilities in every direction. The difference lies not in the room itself, but in the thoughts they habitually entertain. Dominant thoughts do not remain abstract. They crystallize into attitudes, and attitudes drive behavior. If you constantly dwell on scarcity, your actions will be defensive, hesitant, and small in scope. You will cling to what you have, avoiding risks that could lead to growth. If you fix your mind on abundance, you begin to act with confidence, generosity, and decisiveness. In those behaviors open the very doors that a scarcity-minded person would never even notice. But here is where the law becomes both powerful and dangerous. It is impartial. It will just as faithfully bring about the results of destructive, limiting thoughts as it will of empowering, expansive ones. You cannot feed your mind with defeat and then cry foul when life hands you the fruit of your planting. Your internal dialogue is a constant act of creation. Every repeated thought is a seed, and every seed, once nourished by emotion and repetition, must eventually bear fruit. It is not enough to think positively for a few minutes in the morning and then allow your mind to drift back into its old negative grooves for the rest of the day. The law of dominant thought responds to consistency and to intensity, not occasional bursts of optimism. This is why you must guard your mental environment as fiercely as you would protect your most precious treasure. Words you speak, media you consume, and people you associate with all either reinforce or undermine the dominant thoughts shaping your reality. The challenge is not merely to replace a negative thought with a positive one, but to establish a new dominant current, a new default setting for your mind. This is done through daily deliberate mental conditioning, reading inspiring material, visualizing desired outcomes, surrounding yourself with people whose thinking challenges you to grow, and refusing to give prolonged attention to thoughts that weaken you over time. The new patterns become automatic, and your external world begins to shift in ways that once seemed improbable. If you were to leave here today with only one understanding, let it be this: you are never truly at the mercy of circumstances, only at the mercy of the thoughts you permit to take root. And because you can choose your thoughts, you can in time choose your reality. The law of dominant thought is not a tool you use occasionally. It is the constant engine driving the direction of your life. The question then is not whether the law is working, but whether it is working for you or against you. Every day you are either building a life you desire or one you dread, thought by thought, belief by belief. Choose wisely, because the thoughts you nurture today are the blueprint for the life you will inhabit tomorrow. Belief is not just a comforting thought. It is the invisible force that ignites action and sustains it through difficulty. Every great achievement in history began first as a conviction in the mind of a man or woman who refused to let the surrounding evidence dictate their destiny. You see, the mind works on a simple principle. What you truly believe, you will find ways to prove true. If you believe you are capable, you will take risks others avoid, endure trials others cannot bear, and persist where others surrender. If you believe you are doomed to fail, you will sabotage your own efforts without even realizing it. This is why belief is not a luxury. It is the very starting point of purposeful action. Now, belief is often misunderstood as wishful thinking, just hoping for things to work out. But I tell you, belief is not hope. Hope is passive, belief is active. Hope waits for the right conditions. Belief creates them. Hope says, I wish this will happen. Belief says, it must happen, and I will not stop until it does. Without belief, even the most brilliant plan will remain locked in a notebook gathering dust. With belief, Even an imperfect plan gains momentum because belief moves you from hesitation to decisive action. Many people think they are waiting for the right opportunity to act, but in truth, they are waiting for belief. They hesitate because their minds are filled with doubt, and doubt is the great thief of action. You cannot take bold steps toward a future you secretly think is impossible. That's why Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The conceiving part is your imagination, the believing part is your commitment, the achieving part is simply the natural consequence of the first two." When belief takes root, your energy changes. You carry yourself differently, speak with more certainty, and attract allies and resources that were invisible to you before. Others sense your conviction and respond to it. This is why two people with the same idea can get entirely different results. One acts with timid uncertainty, the other with unwavering belief. And it is always the latter who shapes history. But belief is not born in a single moment. It must be cultivated through repetition of thought, proof from past experiences, and alignment with your deepest desires. You must feed it with affirmations, protect it from negative influences, and strengthen it by acting even when you are afraid. Ironically, action itself deepens belief. The more you see yourself taking steps forward, the more your mind begins to accept the possibility. And then the inevitability of success. The danger lies in misplaced belief. If you believe in your limitations more than your possibilities, you will find endless evidence to support those limitations. Your mind will filter reality to match your dominant conviction. This is why the battle for success is first a battle for belief. Change the belief, and you change the possibilities available to you. So I ask you, what do you truly believe about yourself? Not what you tell others, not what you post on social media, but what you whisper to yourself in your quietest moments. That belief is the engine of your life. If it is small, your life will be small. If it is expansive, your life will expand to match it. You cannot escape the reach of your own belief, but you can choose to enlarge it. Because in the end, the world does not reward the most talented or the most prepared. It rewards those who believe so deeply in their vision that they act as if its fulfillment were inevitable. And when you act from that place, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your conviction. Believe greatly, act boldly, and watch reality bow to the certainty you carry within. If you truly wish to live a life of strength, achievement, and peace, you must understand this one truth: your mind is the control tower of your destiny. Every great achievement, every collapse, every rise, and every fall begins here within the invisible confines of your own thoughts. And yet, most people guard their money more fiercely than they guard their mind. They install locks, alarms, and cameras to protect their possessions, but they leave the doors of their mind wide open. Any passing influence to step in and rearrange the furniture of their thinking. The mind is not a passive container, it is fertile soil. Whatever you plant there, whether weeds or wheat, will grow. But here's the challenge: weeds do not need permission to grow. They arrive on the wind in careless conversation, through a headline, a rumor, or the constant drip of negative voices you allow into your life. If you do not consciously guard the gates of your mind, you will unconsciously permit the planting of seeds that will one day choke your dreams. Guarding your mind begins with controlling your inputs. Every book you read, every conversation you entertain, every piece of media you consume is shaping your belief system. And your beliefs, in turn, shape your decisions. If you surround yourself with cynicism, you will act cautiously, shrinking from opportunity. If you feed on constant bad news, your vision will dim and the world will appear darker than it truly is. If you allow the complaints of others to dominate your environment, you will begin to see obstacles where there were once possibilities. Now, this does not mean living in denial of reality. It means choosing your reality with care. You must be selective about who earns the right to speak into your life. You must learn to question the motives behind the voices you hear. Are they building you courage or feeding you fear? Are they inspiring action or excusing inaction? Every moment you give to a destructive influence is a moment you steal from your own future. The great minds of history, leaders, inventors, thinkers, were ruthless gatekeepers of their own mental environment. They understood that thought is the first cause of everything else. They knew that just as a captain guards the integrity of the ship's hull, they must guard the integrity of their own mental state, because a single breach left unattended can sink the voyage. Guarding your mind also requires internal discipline. It is not enough to block harmful influences from entering you, must also monitor the thoughts already living within you. Some of them have been there for years, perhaps since childhood, whispered into your young mind by well-meaning but misguided voices. These internalized beliefs, I'm not good enough, people like me never succeed, it's too late for me, are thieves that rob you quietly. Every single day they must be challenged, confronted, and replaced with thoughts that serve your growth. And let me be clear, this is not an occasional task. It is daily work, just as you would not guard your home once and then walk away. You must remain vigilant over the gates of your mind every day of your life. The moment you relax, you watch the weeds begin to grow again. Understand this. Your future will not be built by accident. It will be constructed by the quality of thought you allow to dominate your mind. Choose those thoughts as you would choose the company you keep at your most important dinner table. If a voice, whether external or internal, cannot help you climb higher, it does not belong inside your gates. If you master this discipline, you will find that clarity, confidence, and courage become natural states of being. You will no longer be swayed by the winds of opinion or paralyzed by the fog of fear. You will stand firm because your mind will be your fortress, and from that fortress, you will command the life you were meant to live. So I leave you with this. The mind you guard today will decide the life you live tomorrow. Keep your gates locked to anything unworthy, and you will discover that the world outside cannot touch the power within.